Who were you before you lost your wild self?
That's what we're helping you explore on the Tend Her Wild podcast.
Through questions and tools around how best to listen to your inner voice,
rewild ourselves, and live the most authentic life where we thrive instead of survive.
I'm Betsy.
And I'm Kate.
And we're so glad you've joined us for this episode.
Hello, Tend Her Wild podcast listeners. Welcome. Today we have a guest with us in the studio that we are very excited to talk about. She came rolling in here in the coolest jacket
that we're going to reveal later.
Ever seen.
It's hanging over there.
So we can see it during this episode. And her name is Tracy Tritle. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Tracy. She's got a great bio, one of the best I've ever read. And so I'm going to start with the quote.
That's a lot, Tracy.
I know.
Yeah, you've done this a lot.
All right. This is a quote from Tracy. I packed it up. I gave it away. I stored the rest, and then I drove away. My home and office, now a 40-year-old flower power and peace sign covered Volkswagen camper van named GiGi. Tracy left Iowa in 2021 and spent the year on a sacred walkabout, living and working from her tiny 1983 camper van, GiGi. All her possessions in storage, she crisscrossed the nation several times, living everywhere and nowhere at once. She answered the resounding invitation to break out of the relentless cycle of burnout and create her best life unconventionally and inspires others now to do the same. The new success quotient merges wisdom, experience, and dreaming. A woman who is happy, relaxed, and balanced easily attracts success and recognition without sacrificing the rest of her life. This is the woman who changes the world.
I need a whoop whoop for that one. Wow.
Tracy's knack for merging 3 decades of Fortune 500 corporate expertise and her unique experiences inspire people to take their careers and themselves to unimagined levels. Women experience quantum transformation through her Burnout to Breakthrough program that's delivered with the wisdom of her experiences. She supports women who've reached the highest levels of their career to break free from the limiting bounds that hold them back and embrace the life they truly desire. A life that's exciting, meaningful, and enables them to live their deepest legacy. As a speaker, she deeply connects the listener to the power of yes and the empowerment of fun and possibility. She's a people and organizational capability consultant, author, global peacemaker, I love that, and speaker with 30 years of project management, leadership, and management consulting. Her expertise in interpersonal dynamics, team and leadership development, and organizational systems is witnessed through successful work with executives, managers, and cross-sector teams. Welcome, Tracy.
That is an awesome bio, Tracy.
Thank you.
Yay.
She's doing big shit.
Well, I find myself wanting to start first, like, okay, what precipitated the van? We got to get into this, but we always start in the same place, which is we want to know about your childhood first.
Mm-hmm.
So before we figure out why you jumped in that van and left for cross-country trek that then transformed everything for you, we want to know about your first 10 years and where your roots came from, which then probably evolved into who is sitting with us right now. So.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here today. This is super exciting. I watched several of your episodes yesterday, and wow, I'm honored. Part of the cadre of
part of the movement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first 10 years, Iowa farm girl. Started in Wisconsin for 6 years, and then my family moved down here. My dad was an Army guy, my mom a beautician, and they started farming when he got out of the Army. And so I grew up with dairy cows and pigs and chickens and all the things. So it gave me a strong root system and strong work ethic. And it's interesting because it's a family that loved me dearly, but I never quite felt like I fit.
Mm.
A little bit like that unicorn in the family because of my way of thinking was so different.
Yep.
And
It's funny how sometimes we get plopped in these families and we're like, how did I choose this one?
yeah.
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 So lived in 3 different places before I was 10. Landed on the farm that my parents are still on
Oh, wow.
at 82 and 83, and really had a great childhood, very free as far as being a farm kid and being able to roam and but the roaming was there, but the expression was muted. I think
Like verbal expression.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm, yeah, the way that I felt that I wanted to live was more muted.
Well, just even you walking in here today with this amazing coat, this apocryphal coat that you will eventually see on our social media, you're so colorful. I just see it in you and
Yeah.
feel it in you. And it sounds like early in your childhood that some of that colorfulness or that voice was sort of muted and held back a little bit.
Very German, Lutheran, very don't shine too bright, don't be too big.
Yep.
Don't
How many times have we talked about that on this podcast?
right,
Yeah.
right. So really dim down
Yeah.
in order to conform and perform and always be a success. And if you're not, don't let anybody see it.
Right.
How confusing this is. Be a success, but don't be too bright and shiny.
Right.
That I
Seems
grew up
so
with that too, and
contradictory.
it's sort of like, how does that work to be successful and do good,
Right,
but don't be too bright.
right.
Don't shine your light so bright.
Well, there was like, it was a defined success. It was a very small box prescribed success. And so I always felt like that's what we were all aiming for, like to be in that little prescribed box. And if you got a little bit too big, you didn't fit in the box. Right?
Don't be too smart. Don't be too bright.
But be smart enough.
Right, but be smart enough. Don't be too emotional, but don't be cold. You know, you just
So many mixed messages.
right. And I believe women in corporate America and business, it just in general it's confusing.
Oh, it's so
It's
confusing.
so confusing. We're constantly measuring what the situation is, who the people are around us, and how to be.
Yeah.
Rather than just being authentic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, your upbringing really does set us up for, I think, where you went with your life. But, and I got to know you a little bit in my previous life, in corporate America, I guess. How did you begin your career? Like where did all of that start? Because you really became kind of a leadership expert and you've taken that, your own experience to working with organizations. So share with us how during that time you kind of evolved and stepped into your power, maybe not too much, but enough to be successful.
It was not traditional in any way, shape, or form. So I was the first one in my family to go to college, like 4-year degree. My parents, I remember them saying to me, "Go figure it out. We don't know how to do this. If you want to do this, figure it out."
So you were very much on your own, independent.
You were the oldest.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So figure it out became kind of a mantra in everything that I've done over the last 20, 30 years. So I went to the University of Iowa. I have a social work and psychology degree and immediately got hired into finance.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's a lot of sense, right? Which evolved into satellite communications at Rockwell and then into software development at MCI WorldCom.
Wow.
And project management was the core of everything I was doing. So I was utilizing the skills. Boy, technology, it's a whole different language, right? So figure it out became part of, I had to learn it. I
Yeah.
had to figure it out. But interpersonal dynamics it's something I'm really good at. So I was able to lean into that while I was learning and still was successful. And then the implosion of MCI WorldCom, and 70% of my department got laid off. And I was in a position of, again, figure it out. And so I started contracting and for a company out of Dallas. And scariest thing I ever did, but it was a better option to me than going back into big corporate, which I didn't. I had trust issues at that point, and I had been managing a global team and was burnt out myself at that point. So I started contracting and consulting. And then in 2008, I decided to reimagine what I was going to do, and the 500-year flood hit in Cedar Rapids. So that's where I really got involved in community organizations, community development. Said I was a grant writer before I ever wrote a grant.
I love it.
And became known for that, even at the state level with brownfield, grayfield grants, with a lot of the CAT grants that were happening. And so evolved that interpersonal piece of it into working with organizations and with multiple people coming out of the flood. Managed a really cool initiative between Lynn County, the city of Cedar Rapids, and the Greater Cedar Rapids Community Foundation, where we brought together organizations and created relationships and then created projects and went after funding. So I did that for 3 years, and it just continued to evolve from there. And then again, hit that place of, what do I want to be when I grow up? I was hitting that last 5%. That 5% of I've done as much as what I can on my own right now. What's next? And I was 56, I think, when that hit. In the meantime, when all that was happening, I went through a divorce, a 24-year marriage, lived in Europe for a month.
Wow.
Yeah, lived in Europe for a month, trying to figure out what was next.
Who am I? What's coming next?
Right. Really went through that
You
self-discovery.
have kids.
Yes, 4.
They're 4 and they're grown by the time all this change is coming into your life.
Right. My son going to college was the catalyst of my marriage being over. It was coming. But
wow, this sounds like my story.
It's very similar to a lot of women experience when they get to that place and they're like, who am I?
They say, someone just told me this, that most marriages, when they're most precarious, there's a couple times, 7 years in, and then when the first one goes off to college.
Yeah.
And that sounds like that's your story.
It was my last one.
It's your last one that went off to college. Okay, and it's my first one that went off to college. Okay, so that now precipitates the GiGi story, right? Yeah. Because business is changing, your work life is changing, you go through a divorce of a long-term marriage, kids are off at college, and you decide...
Well, I love this story. How did you decide?
How did I decide? So it was an evolution coming out of that marriage. I really hit the bottom a couple of times. You hit the deep dark, and that's part of the process of waking up to who you are. And part of that was an eating disorder that came out of that experience, the lack of control and looking for control, and then learning to let control go. And that's been a big part of the evolution over the last 10 years for me. And getting healthy with who I am, what I want spiritually, emotionally, physically, and from a well person perspective. So I lived in a cabin on the Wapsipinicon River for a couple of years. I lived in Cedar Rapids in a little bungalow, and I was in Cedar Rapids. It was right before the pandemic, and was really looking at, do I want to stay here? Do I want to expand? I've lived here my whole life. I've traveled extensively. I've been to Europe, been to Israel 3 times. I've spent time in Belfast and peacemaking. But that wasn't enough. And so was really looking at that during the pandemic, during that quiet, and
Yeah.
really dove into, okay, when this is over, where do I go? What do I want? Because it's changing everything and kind of leveling the playing field from a virtual perspective.
Yeah.
For work.
Right.
Suddenly the walls were
Suddenly
down.
everybody was working like me.
Yeah.
Suddenly, in a way that I was like, oh, thank goodness. Everybody discovered Zoom. So the pandemic hit and then the derecho hit. And during the pandemic, I was on the trails. I was running, I was biking. That was my time to like regroup and to be with other people, even if it was disconnected, right? Just seeing other people. And then derecho hit, and then everything was gone. I lived not too far from, at that point, Beaver Park, and got hit really hard. 100-year-old trees just shredded, and my sanctuary was gone. So not only was my internal sanctuary in my house compromised because of because of the derecho, externally there was nothing. I was just heartbroken. And I took off and I drove to Idaho to see a girlfriend who had just moved out there. Car camped my way out there. So I had a little Nissan Juke and I created a little bed in the back end and I camped all the way out there. It was so empowering to do it like that, and was gone for about 2 weeks. And when I got back, when we were out there, actually, we started kind of looking at campers because I had been thinking about it all summer. And when I got back, I got online 2 days after I got back from Idaho, and it was towards the end of October 21 or 2020. And this van pops up at an RV place in Aurora, Colorado, or Illinois. And so I called and I drove there. And I said yes to this van that 1983.
1983, what color? Orange?
She is like this really burnt orangey brown.
Like a 1980s orange color, like the avocado orange phase.
Literally has or those Flower Power stickers all over her and peace signs. And
they were already on it. You put them on.
They had even taken the VW emblem off the front of it and put on a peace sign emblem.
Oh my goodness.
Which, when you think about the peacemaking work you were doing and the journey that your career went on, like this is setting up almost like, of course, this would be the next thing you did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you drove her back.
Well, I didn't that day. I went back again because I wasn't sure of her mechanically. And it was a 4-hour trip. So I rented a U-Haul truck and a car carrier, which I've never hauled anything like that before in my life, loaded her on there and drove her back to Cedar Rapids, unloaded her in the dark with friends of mine. And it was a full moon on Halloween in the dark, and unloaded her in the driveway.
Can I just stop you? How did you feel in that moment? Like, what was the feeling like?
Oh, I just got goosebumps. It was amazing. And what did I just do? What in the world did I just do? Because now I had a car and this van parked in the garage. And what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
Because I've got this van, and what form is it going to take? What's the next step with this? So
how many months did it take until you figured out what you were doing and you set off on your journey?
3
months.
Yeah. So from October,
that sat in your driveway for 3 months.
In my garage.
In your garage.
Through the holidays.
Yeah. So I kind of tore her down and insulated her. I insulated doors. I put
on your own
panels. My son helped me. Wow. My oldest son helped me. And then a neighbor helped me a little bit. And then I did the rest of it. Just like there's sheep's wool batting in all of the doors, just so it wouldn't be so cold, because I was leaving in January was my intention. And installed a heater, an LP heater in it. So I now know how to do that. and went off. I put everything in storage in a friend's basement and let my rental house go and packed that thing to the gills with more stuff than I ever needed, right? Where do you put all your clothes in a tiny van like that when you don't know how long you're going to be gone? And took off in January and headed to New Mexico.
I have to say two things. One is I'm struck by how you were refurbishing Ginger. I think that's what you initially called her.
Original
her
name
full
was
name.
Ginger, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And we
So she unit GiGi. But as you refurbished her, it's a little bit like you refurbished and reclaimed yourself during your process. It's almost like you then found something that you was going to take you to your next chapter, and you like with love like built her back up.
For the first time in a long time, I felt joy, like pure joy, just pure focus, and it felt right. So I was learning to reconnect with how things feel with my own intuition.
Mark of the Wild Woman, FYI. Reconnect to the intuition.
I was learning through that process to do that and just followed what felt good. And I was learning to say yes. And I've always said yes, but to say yes without question and without knowing the outcome. That's the other piece of it.
Yeah, because you set out on this journey where you didn't have any real defined plan, maybe a loose plan.
Route 66.
That was your plan.
That was it. I was going to follow it all the way to California. So,
and you did?
Yes, I didn't go into California.
Okay.
I didn't go that far because of a number of reasons. There were things happening politically at that point, as well as a person happened.
A person happened
during that that changed the trajectory of that year. So that experience involved reconnecting with someone who, and then he had a very intense health experience, open heart surgery in the middle of that year. So I lived, my van was in Boise for a long time. My girlfriend was kind of a hub out there, getting her engine rebuilt after having broken down so many times while he was having open heart surgery, which was
kind of
an
ironic.
interesting parallel, right?
Yeah.
And then spent some time in Indiana supporting him as he recovered, and went back and forth like 3 or 4 times. And then my son got married in November, and that was kind of the accumulating end of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were the lessons and the adventures that really stuck out to you? I mean, I know so much happened in that time, but what were the big things that you're like, oh, this is why I had to do that?
In order to, I've always felt where I'm going. I've felt that I will be public. I've always been public, but like fully, like shining really big, really bright. And in order to get to that in my future, there were things that happened on that walkabout that were key. One of which was I broke down within weeks after I left. I mean, this was a van who had not had very much mechanical support, and literally,
You broke down, the van broke down, or was it both?
No, I broke down in the midst of breaking
but the
down.
van broke down first.
Yeah,
Okay.
and literally, it was going to cost the same amount of money as what I had in savings for the entire thing.
Wow.
And so being in fundraising, being in grant writing, I advise clients on, utilizing different sources. And it just came to me, okay, GoFundMe, start a GoFundMe page. And so I did. And I literally, it just was overwhelming, the support.
I remember that.
I had to be very, very public with what was going on and be okay with people judging and saying it doesn't matter. Like, I believe
That is brave.
It is brave.
yeah, it was a big deal. But what what I found in that is taking the positive in any situation and focusing on that, using that. So this was help GiGi and me get back on the road.
Yeah.
Help support repairs for GiGi and me. So made it about the van and about the van almost became personified
Yeah.
through the
Do you realize
process.
that even before this, you said, I broke down? Like like you and GiGi became
We all
one,
did.
right? Like, I was like, wait a second, did Tracy break down or did
No,
GiGi?
it's like,
But like, it's so
yeah.
interesting. Like
Mhm.
there was a whole enmeshment that started
It's
to
real.
happen.
It's real.
Yeah.
I literally put her up for sale at the end of, well, it was in 22. So at the end of it, because she just,
She was tired.
oh my goodness.
He was worn down.
Went to visit my parents in Arizona and was literally on the road with that partner that I had reconnected with. He had a Jeep and we had it outfitted. So it was like we had rooms, right? And we were visiting my parents and she dropped her transmission in my parents' driveway.
That seems
It
very
was, all right.
symbolic.
And my parents had a 1-bedroom mobile home down there in a retirement park. So there really wasn't room for us to stay like for 2 weeks on the living room floor. So we literally slept in GiGi in the driveway and then would go in for meals and stuff inside. So she became a bedroom
Oh
for
my
those
God.
2 weeks. And then took her to a mechanic and decided I was going to sell her. So I put up for sale. She stayed in Arizona for a year at Gateway Classic Cars. And then I decided I was going to go get her. It was after I moved to Alaska.
Rescue her back.
I rescued her
I
back.
sold my child and I needed her back.
So she sat in storage like for a year. And I put her on a trailer and hauled her all the way across Canada to Alaska and kept her in Alaska with me for 3 years. And then when I left Alaska this spring, I put her on a ship and shipped her to Washington. And then I flew to Washington and picked her up. And I mean, I've had a
You
journey.
can't let her go.
No,
You
she's
cannot let her
part of-
go.
It's part of you.
It's part of my legacy.
Yeah.
Can I just say when I remember seeing your story of GiGi breaking down.
Yeah.
And that would have been what, 6 years ago? No, 5 years ago, maybe.
We've been 2021. Yeah.
Okay. So about 4 years ago, I remember feeling jealous.
Yeah.
I remember feeling like, wow, look what she's doing. I can't imagine the kind of freedom. Were there other women that reached out to you and had those similar feelings?
There were, and it doesn't change because when women hear the story now, even there's so many responses. There's, oh wow, I'm jealous, or oh wow, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
I could never do that. And I'm like, anybody can do this. You just,
Yeah.
it really, you make it happen. You are in charge of your life. It's your one and only life.
Right. Yeah.
It's so
Wow,
symbolic
the
for
precious
that.
life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so the power and the freedom in that is what is at the core of the program that I have built. And literally, there's 3 critical shifts in that program, and it is put yourself first, get wild, and reclaim your spark. Right? It's very simple, but yet it's the hardest thing women do for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, I think step 1, choose yourself.
put yourself first.
That's
Opposite.
yeah, that is nothing that we're ever taught. And in fact, maybe that's where some of the jealousy comes from when people looked at you like, well, how could she do this? How could she do this?
Mhm.
I could never do that.
Yeah.
Because we have been conditioned to believe we're not supposed to put ourselves first. How dare she put herself first and go across the country in a van?
Well,
And yet
that
what
definition of
we all need.
selfishness, right?
Yeah.
Of the cultural definition of selfishness, and that is focusing on ourselves, to be right with ourselves, so we can be right with the rest of the world.
Right. And show up.
Yeah. And
Fully.
to be healthy with the rest of the world is, to me, the most natural way to approach our lives, but it is counter. It's like backwards to what we've been taught.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so what was Alaska? So Alaska was a big part of your stepping into your own light and power.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so before we go to Alaska, so you did the year, then you went down to Arizona, then you went to Alaska. How did we get to Alaska?
Alaska was the partner that I was with at that point. We tried to settle in Colorado, but it was at the height of the housing bubble following the pandemic. And so there was literally
nothing you could afford,
oh my
probably.
goodness, you couldn't afford it. You couldn't even get in to see things. And we weren't sure what we were going to do. We were staying with friends of his, and they decided they wanted to open a division of their construction company in Anchorage. And they asked my partner if he wanted to go up there and start it. He had a construction background. And I said, well, we don't have anything better to do.
Let's go to Alaska.
We don't have anywhere to live. So
I didn't know any of this was opening up when you left Cedar Rapids, did you?
No, and it hasn't stopped. But literally, we packed 6 bags, like the big Cabela's dry bags, and went to Alaska, and that's how we took. And landed.
But you took GiGi too.
Well, yeah, but here after.
Came back for her.
And I went back for her. So we slept on an apartment floor, like we had nothing. So we just made a bed on the floor when we first got there, and then ended up in the Palmer Valley, which is spectacularly beautiful. And like I'd look out my window every morning and there were mountains right there when I made coffee. It will always be home. It makes me emotional even talking about it. And for 9 months, I lived there alone while he went out on walkabout. He left in September of 24. And I became a different person over that winter of living alone in Alaska and really focusing on myself and building a business, and went into burnout again, working a corporate job in conjunction with starting a business. Pulled myself back out of that, and then really launched this year into my targeted business and walked away from the corporate job. So big things. In addition to, I left Alaska and I left alone, and very quickly. So GiGi on a ship, a U-box on a ship, my dog and I on a flight, and landed in Boise again.
And Idaho's kind of been this little touch point for you. Yeah.
So I've been there for a few months, and I'm imagining where I'll go next. I'm not quite sure what that looks like.
Hi, I'm Sam, founder of The Local Hub. When I moved to Iowa City, I felt like a tourist, and I'm sure you can relate if you've ever moved somewhere new or just haven't explored your city in years. Supporting local has never been more important, and The Local Hub makes it simple. It's a community-first way to uncover the local businesses, events, and hidden spots that make an area feel like home. If you're in the Iowa City area, you'll find us online, in print, and on social media, all designed to keep you in the loop about what's happening here. Visit thelocalhub-ic.com and start living like a local.
So I'm like sitting here in awe of you, which I think this story is so powerful because all of this adventure actually started at 55.
I'm 60.
Yeah. So it's sort of like there came a point, like you had followed all the rules, you'd done all the right things, you'd had the kids, you'd done the job, and then something shifted and you're like, this is my one life.
Right.
And even in these last 5 years, all the adventures you've packed in and all the experiences and opportunities and all the growth. I mean, I also feel like it's a message around it's never too late for any of us to buy a VW van and go across the country. I mean, truly, it's never too late.
No.
And it's really empowering me to think about possibilities in life that there comes a point when it's like, okay, if not now, when?
Right.
Right. And also keeping in mind all of this, it's not easy, but it's not hard. When you're following the yes, it's not defined as hard, but I would be the first one to tell you there have been, right down on the floor, like bawling my eyes out scenarios as I go through all of the experience, in addition to all the joy.
Yeah.
Because the freedom is always the leader for me of choosing what's next, choosing the best life, choosing what feels most supportive. And the key to that, not only in listening to myself, has been a close circle of women who maybe are having similar experiences or who have similar aspirations.
Yeah.
And it's key, it's critical, that community, because I'm a firm believer we are not intended to be solitary. We are here for community. We are here to be connected. And the way we've been taught, the way that culturally we've been indoctrinated, it's counter
It is to what's natural.
What's natural for us. So flowing with that, the connections, and letting them go if they don't work, if they have served their time.
Yeah.
So so you're working on your own business during this time. And in the last year, you said, this has really been my year. Tell our listeners kind of, you were on the stage telling your story. And I know that was a big moment for you.
We're going to add that in the show notes so people can watch it's a 7-minute video. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. How did that come to be? And what was that a turning point for you personally?
So in 23, I really hit a wall. I was in Alaska. I didn't know what I wanted to do next. I was working a few contracts, but not much. And, I referenced earlier the deep dark. We go through those moments of real deep introspection. Why am I here? What am I doing? Where do I go next? How do I get there? And in my Facebook feed, this experiential workshop came up from a program called Bold and Visible. And at that point in time, it was for their VIP program, and it was to not only take you past that last 5% that's holding you back, but take you to the stage. And it was speaking your truth, speaking your story. To me, that felt critical. That was the piece that I really wanted, was getting past my own fear of being seen, being heard, being as bright as I wanted to be.
Goes back to your childhood. All those.
Yeah. So it was intense. It was started in January, went to the stage in October. It was October of 23. So 9 months of somatic healing and interpersonal healing, and then crafting the story, that 7-minute story. Went to the stage in front of almost 500 people in Canada with it. And it was a pivotal moment. It was a threshold. And I moved into the next stage that they offer, and that is the mastery program. And that's building a body of work from that story. And so I never in a million years thought that my passion, my business would be built on that year that I spent in a VW van. Never. But it's the core of it. And I didn't see the connection until I was really down deep in the creating component of building the business. And so this year, the next stage then is Thrive, and it's launching your business to the cold market as a business. And it's been spectacular. I started that in January, have 2 cohorts of women that have already flowed through. I'm getting ready to start the 3rd here at the end of October. And there's also the thing that's very beautiful. You know, we talk about seeing the grand design, right? The grand plan. Coming out of that year with GiGi, I wrote a book, and it's a manuscript that has not been published. Right? It's done, but it's sitting there. And so the timing of that has always felt like it would show itself. And it's time to publish the book. The
Yeah.
manuscript's ready to go. So that's coming this year as well.
Great.
Mhm.
What's the kind of woman that would work with you? Describe to us the type of woman that your program would attract and why they would feel drawn to go through your offering.
It's fascinating because my target is high achieving professional women. So they are women who are anywhere from like 45 to 65, the women who are at the height of their careers. You know, we've been doing it for a long time. We're getting tired. We're burnout. We've done this in a way where it doesn't fill us up anymore. And we're starting, the women that I work with are just like, what's left?
Mm.
Is this what my life is? Is this really what it's going to be for the next 20, 30 years? And it ends up being mid-level to executive level women. It doesn't preclude anyone else from coming in, but that's who the women that work with me tend to be, and they're women who want more, who just are like, or they may have been fired. There may be attrition happening where the burnout is so deep and wide that they were not able to maintain in their career at the level that was being asked of them because they disconnect from the wholeness and the wellness of who they're capable of being in that burnout loop. So I've worked with women anywhere from corporate, you know, information technology to women who are working in ER situations at UC Davis. That's another example. So really high stress, high burnout situations, but also directors of human resources. They take a lot. They take on a lot. I've had quite a few of those. So it's a spread, but there's a common language that happens when women come together, and they might be from all over the country, all over the world, doesn't matter what their profession is. When they sit down and they talk to each other, there's a common thread
Yeah.
that runs. I'm
Yeah.
so tired, the fatigue. I'm not well. Many times there's a health component happening. And or simply, you know, we take them through an experiential exercise where you're breathing and they're like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I don't breathe.
Right.
Yeah. So the language, the common language, many times is what brings women into community. And I'm a proponent of working with women in community because it quantum leaps
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
into changes that we can make ourselves, but it takes
It's harder to do on your own. Yeah.
And again, like you just said earlier, we are meant to do things in community. And that goes to healing too. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
there's maybe both are necessary, but it certainly does help to know you're not alone.
Yeah, I had an amazing model the last 3 years in the Bold Invisible program that I'm in, and teaching and the modeling of being so invested in everyone's success, so invested in the trust factor of when we're working together, there's not competition, right? It's collaboration. It is trusting. And within that community of women, which is there are women from all over the world, I've learned so much. And that is, we trust each other. We're all building our own thing side by side using a similar framework. And the founder, Callie Elwains is her name. She's out of Calgary, Canada, and she is the embodiment of love. I mean, she just like literally wants the best for each of us and is there to support and teach. She's been doing this her own thing in her own way for 10 years and teaching women how to be in collaboration and how to trust each other. And so it's been pretty spectacular to have that modeling too.
Yeah. And I feel like that's the future, right? As women, more women subscribe and show up for that, the more things we can build together, create together, support one another, and move our communities and world forward, which really goes back to your peacemaking, right? Those skills around that. So,
well, the wisdom keepers are key.
Yeah.
Right. The wisdom keepers are key. And that's, I talk about legacy in my program, and that is legacy, is speaking your wisdom, speaking your truth, being with other women in a real trusting way, and showing those coming up with us and behind us how to do it.
Yeah.
modeling it.
Absolutely. Tracy, as we're nearing the end here, I want to ask, what's one thing that surprises you about the direction of your life and where you are in this moment?
I would say I am surprised that I'm still so mobile in my life. I did not see that coming.
Mobile as in GiGi and
just in every way, shape, or form. You know, I'm staying with a friend right now again, because of the situation that I chose and the path that I'm taking. I know this to be true. There's gypsy blood in me.
I love
really. Oh, really?
Yeah.
And it has taken over for the last 5 years. And so,
Or it's just finally you've settled into your essence.
Yeah.
You are. You didn't have to play in the boxes anymore of
right.
the confines of what we're supposed to do. You got to like let your gypsy blood run,
So
run
that kind
free.
of surprises me still, is how loudly I'm living, even while it's still kind of quiet. You know, it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, and you're giving others permission to do the same in your programs, and then also just being more public about your journey. You know, as someone from afar who saw that, I was like, wow, right? It makes you think, it makes other women think. And so just by you being brave and putting that out publicly, like, she broke down, here's what I'm doing, who can help me?
I made a lot of videos that year.
I know.
Yeah, there were a lot of short videos that went up on Facebook, and it's the book that I've written. There's 43 sections, and I've made 37 videos from that year, from pictures, from video, from reflections to correspond with the sections in the book, you know? So talk about being very public, right? That there was that much out there. I didn't realize I was quite that loud, but I was.
That's also an interesting idea, that you didn't realize how loud you were until retrospectively looking back. And now you're in a program that's continuing to further you to be loud. And that goes all the way back to your childhood.
Yes.
When you were like,
be quiet.
Be quiet.
Yes. And you're like, I don't think that's what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
Right. You're stepping into your own in big ways.
Well, let's see if Chanel will grab the jacket so we can show on our video.
Oh yeah,
we need
the video needs to. Yep, maybe you can explain the jacket to us.
Okay.
So how did this apocryphal jacket come into being?
This jacket came into being as I.
Let's hold it up here.
Okay, so as I got ready to leave, this was August of 2020. So the patch at the center of the back, I took off and went to Madison, Wisconsin with Jamie Toledo from Cedar Rapids for her birthday, and we bought matching patches.
The big sparkly one with the heart
in the center. And so that's what started the jacket, because she's a jean jacket person too. So we had this thing. And then as I traveled over the course of that year, and even beyond that into 22, I collected patches from every state that I had been in,
so
that
cool.
GiGi was in. And so they're all over the jacket. State ones that we have on the front. My name tag came from a vintage store in Ohio. We've got GiGi on there.
GiGi's on there too.
There's peace signs.
Oh, and we got this little button down here.
Yeah, that's Aqua.
Keep it wild.
Keep it wild. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got an Idaho potato on there.
Oh,
he wore this into our studio today, and I was like, "What is that jacket?" Little did I know there was so much story behind it.
Yeah, it's a
get your kicks. Route 66. Yeah,
Appalachian Trail, Alaska. Yeah, it's been one that I'm losing real estate. I don't have much left. I have to start another jacket, but
I won't be surprised if you do.
Yeah, I actually have another one ready to start. That's all Alaska patches.
Great.
Well, we always like to wrap up with a final question, which you may have already considered if you've listened to our episodes. But
can we start out by just acknowledging her wildness?
Yeah.
I mean, we do with every guest. We see the wildness in every guest.
100% special.
There's an extra wildness to your story. And I think it comes from that courage and bravery.
I do too.
I think every woman figures out a way midlife when that wild woman archetype hits to bounce out of their routines. But you did it in a big, loud way.
You're the first one to sell their belongings and leave their home and go on this trek alone.
Yeah.
Not with no real defined plan. And that to me is like the ultimate.
Yeah. The
ultimate
wild woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question now. So sorry, we had to set up your extra wildness.
So Clarissa Pinkola Estes in The Women Who Run with the Wolves says that there are 4 precious doors into the life of a wild woman. So what door do you think best encapsulates kind of your journey? If you have a deep scar, that is a door. If you have an old story, that is a door. If you love the sky and the water so much you can almost not bear it, that is a door. And if you yearn for a deeper life, a full life, a sane life, that is a door. So is there one or more that really jump out at you?
Yeah, there's 2 doors. I have a foot in both doors, and that is that I must have the sun and the water and the mountains. I added the mountains when I think of that. Absolutely have to have it. I can't live without it. And then the other is the purpose-filled, absolute. Have to have a reason. It has to feel good. We're here to be happy.
Yeah.
We're here to enjoy what we're doing and be present in every second of it. And if I didn't have that, well, why?
Yeah. Full life, same life. Well, you are so fascinating to talk with. And I love
really inspiring.
Very inspiring. And we're going to keep watching your journey because we know it's just beginning.
Jacket number 2, jacket number 3.
And we wish you, much success and more importantly, great joy on this journey.
Continued happiness. Because I think you're right. That's why we're all here is to be happy and to enjoy this life.
Yeah, it is. And again, thank you for having me. I'm so impressed with what you're doing and the passion that you've got behind it and the path that you're on and where you're headed with this, because it just keeps getting bigger.
Keep sending your wild women friends our way. We love having these conversations.
Yes. I will.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review. Come back and rewild with us again next week.